It's that time again for the assault on your ears we call Lower Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast, featuring Aaron and Stavros. Tonight, on our screens, is episode 5 of season 3, Reflections. And in our cups, we've got a little old-fashioned. Tell us about it, Stavros.
Yes, we do have old fashions today, the cocktail, because we see an old-fashioned Rutherford in this episode. In case you didn't know, an old-fashioned, this is actually my first time making it. It is whiskey. I used a Jack Daniel's single barrel rye, sugar, a dash of bitters. I used orange bitters, and a little bit of water. And my initial gut reactions, you've been turning me on to flavored whiskeys this whole season and a bit of last season. I'm not sure I can do the flat, normal flavored whiskey. It's maybe too strong, or I don't know. I'm not getting much of the sweetness.
And it may be your choice of whiskey, too. There is a whole variety of flavors in the whiskey rainbow. You just got to find the one that's right for you. Me personally, I went with a little bullet rye. Some people do make old fashions with gin as well. I imagine that would probably be more up your alley.
Yeah, maybe I should try that.
So, generally, it's not just pouring in the ingredients. There's a whole step-by-step process. You're supposed to start with the bitters. I use orange bitters as well. I'm glad you're following suit. I do love that slight hint of orange in it.
Oranginess.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's got that citrusy feel to it. And then you mix that with the sugar, but you're not actually mixing it. You're doing a thing that they call muddling. And it's basically, you take a thing called a muddler, which is a lot like a mortar and pestle situation. And you get that in your rock glass, and you just kind of grind it together. And if you get the right mix, it should be kind of like a thick, almost syrupy thing to it. And then some people add in water. I know that's the norm. I don't usually do it. I think it thins it out too much. And then from there, you pour in your drink, and you add your garnish.
Gotcha. I didn't muddle, so maybe that's another problem I'm having.
Well, and you know what? If you're not a big fan of the base whiskey, you're probably not going to like it anyways. For me, that's why I went with bullet rye. I do like that just by itself. It just adds this slight hint to it of this. In my case, and I think both our cases, it adds a little bit of a sweetness and a bit of an orange hint. I usually use an orange garnish as well, unlike my father who used a cherry, which, a lot of people do, but I don't. Because I'm my own man, Dad! I like things the way I like them!
You showed him,
but
with your different fruit.
You know what? It's not for everybody, and sometimes it's just finding the right mixture for yourself, and there's probably people who would quickly tell me that I'm making it wrong. But you know what? If I'm wrong, I don't want to be right. Wait, that's not how that saying goes.
No,
if I'm
not at all.
Doing it wrong? I don't know. I'm not up on my old-timey sayings, just my old-timey drinks.
Yeah, maybe my opinion will change the deeper I get into my glass. We'll see.
Could be.
But what we should do is talk about this episode.
Oh, right. There's an episode we watched.
Yes. It's called Reflections. And what this episode is about, some stuff. When Mariner and Boimler are forced to run a Starfleet recruitment booth, things become awkward after everyone finds it too easy to dunk on joining Starfleet. Meanwhile, Rutherford has a run-in with his alter ego, Punkford. That's what the internet's calling him. And the Rutherford implant conspiracy intensifies.
Oh boy. So where are we going to start on this one? This episode is dense. And I don't mean dense and dumb, right? But I mean there's a lot going on and a lot of background
so
stuff.
Much. Let me first say, this is a Rutherford episode. It's my boy, and I'd love to see it. And I really hate the Punkford, as the internet calls him, or as the closed captions call him on Paramount Plus, Red Rutherford, because I guess the eye is red, and that's how you know he's evil?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm not sure.
No. I'm not using either of those names. Moving on!
Let's talk about how this episode opens, first of all. So, as you may recall, it opens with Rutherford having a nightmare, and of course we find out that it's his younger self exploding the engine where he gets hurt. I love that when he screams and scares the guy walking down the hall, it's the same dude that is always in a towel. I don't even think they have a uniform for that guy. It's just a really buff dude wearing a towel. That's
Until you mentioned that, I didn't even think about that, right? That this guy always shows up and he's always in a towel, never in a uniform.
Pretty funny.
And it goes all the way back to the whole why a towel? They're sonic showers, people.
Yeah, again, maybe this guy just really likes going swimming in cetacean offs with the dolphins. And, I mean, it's established fact that lots of people go swimming with the dolphins or the belugas for questionable purposes. So there is that. Did you catch the little shot that Tendi, when she's talking with Rutherford about how he can't sleep, and she's like, "Oh, are you dreaming about Kirk and Spock having cinematic chemistry?"
Yeah, a timeline where Kirk and Spock have cinematic chemistry. What does that even mean?
I don't know. Oh, first of all, there are nightmares still. So having cinematic chemistry must be bad.
You know what? What is cinematic chemistry, right?
I don't know.
And, everybody's like, oh, this is a dunk on the Kelvin timeline. And I'm like, you know what, though? Kirk and Spock had good interactions in the Kelvin movies, but they weren't the same as Spock and Kirk in the main timeline. And I think one of the problems is the writing didn't play to how their interactions showed on screen, because they're always written as friends, right? But, like, they weren't really friends. They were more, like, colleagues, but, like, colleagues who respect each other, right?
Colleagues with benefits?
You know what? I imagine there is a swath of the fan base that would love to see that slash fic.
I'm sure it exists. I wouldn't know.
You know what? I imagine there is a larger swath of the fan base that would love to be colleagues with benefits with Zachary Quino and Chris Pine. But
big time.
Moving on.
Neither here nor there. Yes. I love the scene where Tendi, where she's just describing they've got the pod plant from Omicron Ceti 3. That's the original series episode, This Side of Paradise. They're just like in a jar.
Yeah.
Just there.
I'm going to assume that's like not glass and it's like transparent aluminum.
Something.
It's like it's not going to like spill over when the, inertial dampeners fail. And
I hope not, because in that episode, as I recall, the spores like spread through the ventilation system on the Enterprise. So that'd be a bad time if that got out. I hope it's being collected in the anomaly collection day, and it needs to get taken off the ship, because they should not. It just seems unsafe.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah. Question is, why does she have it, and where did she get it?
I don't know. It's not explained. They're just like, hey, look, I have this mind-controlling plant. Would you like to take a look?
And it's completely irrelevant. Like, it doesn't need to be there at all. I just feel like a lot of the callbacks are there as, like, background filler stuff, but, like, this thing is just, why is it even there?
It gets dialogue, it doesn't just show up. It's Tendi, like, talks about it.
Yeah, and, like, there's no reason to. It's just, not great callback material there.
Yeah. But that does take place in the repair bay, and we need to talk about the Sequoia shuttle.
Oh
my
God!
About background details.
Am I stuck? Are you stuck on this like I am?
I don't know. What are you stuck on about it?
Okay, so given we learn all about Rutherford's background, which we're going to get more into, right?
Right.
Which albeit he doesn't have the memories of, but he clearly has the same passions and same drives.
Yeah.
Given his background, given his engineering skill, given that his even he loves the Delta Flyer. How amazing it is. Why is the Sequoia always in a state of disrepair, right? Why does it never get better,
It's got to be like low priority, like a low priority fix or something.
I figure it's like a hobby thing, right? But you think you would be making progress on it.
It looks like they have made progress. That's the thing. Like, this shuttle is in better condition now than it's been in previous episodes where it's shown up.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and check, but I question that.
I feel like it does. Yeah. I think it looks like it's in better shape. It's like the big pieces. I think before, like, the engines have been like stacked up against the wall.
Yeah,
and things like that.
They got like heavily damaged in the series finale. It still doesn't have the engines though. There's not engines. The nacelles. There's no nacelles.
Yeah, I don't know.
So many questions.
I feel like it's definitely getting repaired. I like that background detail of that. It was pretty neat.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk. We learn a lot more about Rutherford and his alter ego, Red Rutherford. Well, first of all, let's talk about what we learned about Rutherford's background first. We do learn, and this may relate to the Rutherford conspiracy mystery that we're going to talk more about later, but he does get transferred onto the Cerritos from Douglas Station, which actually is shown in the series in Moist Vessel.
Multiple times. We've been there several times. That's where they hauled the Cerritos to after it was damaged by the Packleads. They mentioned, the Moist Vessel was going there. There's one other episode where they mentioned going there too. But here's my thing. They've been there multiple times. Rutherford served there?
He's never mentioned it.
Never once
apparently.
mentioned it.
Never.
Man, I've known people like this, and I hate them with a passion.
You want them to talk about their past more? Is that the deal?
Well, I mean, as it's relevant to the present, you know? It's one thing to not be like, oh, I don't put myself out there, but it's a whole other thing to be like, I have pertinent information about this thing we're interacting with, and I'm just going to keep it to myself.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll learn that that's more relevant later. That Douglas Station is going to make a reappearance, maybe.
It probably will.
But the start date that the computer gives for when he transferred is before the start of the show. I did a little sleuthing on Memory Alpha, and that start date is earlier than what's on the show. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that would be
I don't
obvious
know.
if he had transferred to the Cerritos, like, mid-series. Like, I think we would have noticed
Yeah.
that. Like, there would have been episodes without Rutherford, and then episodes with Rutherford. You know?
yeah, nope, he's in every one, I think.
I'm pretty
There's only 10 episodes a season. He needs to be in every one.
I'm pretty sure he was there in the pilot.
Just saying, I mean, it could be relevant to the conspiracy that are going to be talking about a bit later.
I doubt it.
Let's talk more about Punkford.
You mean
You're taking issue with
Rude
that.
Rutherford?
Right. Is that what you're calling him?
That's what
Is that
everybody
your name for
should
him?
be calling it, man. It's like these uncultured slobs on the internet got no sense of alliteration here.
I think Rutherford is already too long, so you just gotta
Rude
portmanteau.
Rutherford. It's sticking. Get on board, buddy.
We'll see.
We're gonna sell
We'll see.
T-shirts.
Rude Rutherford with the red eye. I love that they talk about an anaphasic alien taking over his body, and I hope you know
Not me.
the only anaphasic
God
alien
damn it,
that's been
McMahon.
referenced in
We
Star Trek.
don't talk about Sub Rosa. The first rule of Star Trek is you don't talk about Sub Rosa. The second rule of Star Trek is you don't talk about Sub Rosa. Oh,
The best part is they say that multiple times just to hit you over the head with the fact that they want to talk about Sub Rosa.
yeah, no.
At least there's no sexy candles in this episode.
Oh
so
my god.
That's
This episode's so weird, man. Do you think like Gates McFadden read the script and was all like, if I don't do this, do I keep my job?
maybe she was really into it. I wonder if she has a credit on there. I don't know. I'm
God,
gonna have to do some.
that's going to be
research now.
embarrassing if I'm just calling Gates McFadden out about her. That was like, is it McFadden? I don't know. I'm too drunk.
I think it's McFadden. We're drinking old fashions. It could be either one.
It's going to be really embarrassing if it turns out that was like her pet project and I'm just trashing all over it.
Now we have to look it up. We're gonna do it right here.
I
on
don't
the
think
air.
we have to look it up. I think we can save my shame for, off the air. Thank you.
I think you can shame Jonathan Frakes. He directed it. So
Well, I
that's-
mean,
that's as
you
good
can
as
only do
get.
so much with a bad script.
That's
So who wrote the
Fair
script?
enough.
And if you say Jonathan Frakes, I'm just walking off, man. I'm done.
Nope. Brandon Braga wrote it, and story by Jerry Taylor.
Can
and
I comment on something
Gianna
about
Gallo.
Brandon Braga real quick? And I know we're supposed to be
course.
focusing
Focus-
on Lower Dorks.
Focusing on Lower Dorks.
Anyways, we're supposed to be focusing on Lower Decks. Brandon Braga is like the most all over the place person in Star Trek history. Like, you'll read about like some really cool concept in like Star Trek, but
Right.
then he does stuff like friggin' Sub Rosa. I bet Threshold was his idea too. That seems like something up his alley. He was all over the place.
But you got to pump out 24 episodes a season or whatever. You got to have some ups and downs.
I'm going to assume it's
just
drugs,
saying.
right? All the good episodes, he's on uppers. It's probably reversed. Good episodes, he's on downers. Bad episodes, he's on uppers. No, guys, you don't get it. I don't get it. You don't get it. Here's what we do. Lizards. We turn them into lizards.
Yes.
And everybody in the writing room is all like, if we say that's a bad idea, do we get to keep our jobs? Anyways, let's move on from my rant.
Let's
about
go back to
Brandon Braga.
Lower Decks. Let's talk more about Punkford, or Rude Rutherford, as you like to say with too many words.
Rude Rutherford.
I like how he comments about the engineering in the little pod between the nacelles and says that's stupid. I mean, you know what? It could be a little bit
It
stupid.
is stupid. We're on board here, Rude Rutherford.
That was pretty good. I think my favorite scene in the whole show was when fake Rutherford, or Rude Rutherford, is like imitating the speaking style of real Rutherford. And Rude Rutherford's like, I don't talk like that. It's like...
She totally does.
He's right. He doesn't talk like that, but...
She still falls for it. Which, you know what? Do you want to segue here real quick into my biggest thing from this episode? My big takeaway?
Yeah, let's do it.
My big what the fuck moment?
Sure.
So we learn about Rutherford's past as Rude Rutherford, right?
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
Clearly, Rude Rutherford didn't say okey dokey. But
That's true.
Cerritos Rutherford does. I had always assumed okey dokey was something that was like, it's a colloquialism, right? It's something from his past. We're going to someday see where he's from, and they're going to say okey dokey. But Rude Rutherford would never say okey dokey. Where the hell did Rutherford pick up okey dokey? It's clearly something post-accident.
Yeah, it's in the implant. Maybe it's the code word that Section 31 put into his helmet.
Are we sure it's Section 31 that did it? I think you're jumping to conclusions there, buddy.
Yeah, that a little jump to conclusions there. Whoever did it.
Whoever did it.
Yes.
I will say one thing, though, that I do like about Rude Rutherford. Kicking open Jeffrey's tubes. Why would you make a door? Especially if it's like a sealing door that's can environmentally seal, pressure seal. Why would you be able to kick that open? That just seems like bad design. Although I guess if you were going through the Jeffrey's tubes and you had a bunch of stuff in your hand and you were crawling, they wouldn't want to have to make you stop and press a bunch of buttons. So maybe if you just knock on it, it'll open for you if there's no mitigating circumstances.
The only thing I can think of is it's supposed to open on approach, on proximity, but it's a little stuck. You just gotta give it a little percussive therapy.
I can see that.
It. Also, Rude Rutherford is also really into the Kirk karate chops. Poor Lundy. I mean, he's just doing his job in the transport room, and then he just gets karate chopped and knocked out in one hit somehow.
Yeah, and I just love that they used Lundy for this scene. They just bring back the background characters. I love it.
It is really great. But then we get even more details on Rude Rutherford in the mental space segment later on. I'm really hung up on the outfit that Red Rutherford is wearing here.
You and me both.
Maybe you can help me out.
I know I've seen this before, but I
know.
I
it
was
exists, right?
searching through every Star Trek website I could find. I'm on Google image search. I'm looking through
the jacket.
Every set of Star Trek civilian clothing. And watch, it's going to turn out it's from some completely other series that it's from Space Racers in 1961. It was a 2-episode series that was canceled after the first.
And Mike McMahon is that one.
That one.
But at least under the jacket, you can see he's wearing the TNG era cadet uniform with the cargo pants pockets on them, just like in that TNG episode where they show up.
Did
but
they
the
have
jacket,
cargo
I know
pants
this exists.
Or did they have cargo pockets?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think I would remember this. I feel like I would have noticed
look it up.
this.
Yeah, go look up First Duty uniform, cadet uniforms. And
you're gonna make me.
You can see your very own cargo pockets.
Oh my God, you're right, and they're huge cargo pockets, not normal sized cargo pockets.
No,
it's what is this? This is in the '80s. I bet you freaking Cadet Crusher has a Game Boy in there or something. Jesus.
Oh, maybe it's the cadet uniforms from DS9. Yes, it is from DS9. I was in error, but if you look at the uniforms from that Red Squad episode of DS9, it's pulled straight out of that episode. So
indeed, the tops are wrong for the First Duty.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. But the jacket is bothering me. I know it's from something. It's been bothering me all day ever since I watched this episode. Please, dear God, if somebody on the internet knows, please tweet us so we can. My madness can be put to rest at Lower Dorks on Twitter.
So I will say this: whatever Rutherford was up to, he really seemed to be a willing participant.
In his implant, you mean?
No, in the whole botched whatever they were working on program.
Oh yes,
because he really seems to hate Starfleet and going to Starfleet Academy, right? So something tells me that Starfleet Academy, going with your Section 31 theory, they're this guy's got a bent against authority and just wants to play with gadgets. He's our guy to build our next doomsday weapon.
It does seem like the right MO, the Section 31 MO.
I think it's going to turn out that Rutherford designed the Vitruvian bomb.
Oh, perhaps.
No, not at all. That's a dumb idea.
It does explode. No, I mean, it's completely reasonable, Anyway, let's talk about the name of Red Rutherford's ship, the Sampaguita. I did a little Googling. That is, of course, a flower, and it is the national flower of the Philippines, in case you didn't know.
Well,
and this ship is actually the mysterious ship that we spotted in the Season 3 trailer.
Yeah, I love the design of this. We had mentioned talking about how weird of a design it is, and it has like all these weird elements. And the fact that it is made, just like a kit bash somebody did in the garage, totally holds up to how it looks. It looks that way. So great design work, guys.
Yeah. Why does it have nacelles, though? I mean, I know the Delta Flyer has nacelles, so it can go to warp, but does the racing ship really need?
You got to get out to Romulan space somehow.
That's true. Yeah, you got to cruise out there.
And I bet you it's like a biathlon where there's like segments of the race that are all about like maneuverability, where you're moving at impulse, and then there's like warp racing. So like you have to build this balanced design.
Interesting.
We're thinking.
Can you imagine having to be really maneuverable at warp?
We're thinking way too
much
about this.
We're watching this show.
Though, I will say this.
There's no
you mentioned being really maneuverable at warp, and that is one of the things I love about the show, or the series as a whole. Star Trek can never decide how warp works. One of my favorite quotes from Star Trek Voyager is, what is it, warp flight, no left or right? Like, when you're flying at warp, you can't turn. But, like, they do that shit all the time in the series.
All the time.
Where it's all like, absolutely. I just feel like friggin' Guy in Galaxy Quest. Did you guys watch the show?
It was really good. I love how they sneak in the Delta Flyer, by the way, going back to that for a second. We were wondering how it got snuck in there in the trailer, and now we know it's because Rutherford just really wanted to fly one, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I love that they show the two different design methodologies, like Rutherford has like plans, and he's like going methodically, adding component by component. And then Rude Rutherford is just like slapping things on and arc welding and like just doing it all off the seat of his pants.
I like how both characters can just summon things into existence, but no, they show like the constructing the ship montage because I don't know, they probably just both really wanted to build their own ships. I feel
that's very believable. That is what they would do in that situation.
Yeah, that was great. I also love that the race is won by the power of friendship. Yeah,
very cliched, yet very enjoyable.
You can tell it's how Rutherford perceives all of his friends, because even Mariner says okey dokey.
Oh my god, I loved it when she said that. And I'm like dying. I now want to go back to the entire series and see if she ever said that. I don't think so.
I feel like not.
But I just love that she says okey dokey, right?
Really good. I like how when he's like, look at my friends in the Delta Flyer, and Tendy's like, oh, I've got sensors, and Mariner's like, I got engines, and Boimler's like, let's do this. And I'm like, what's Boimler's job? He's just sitting there not doing anything.
You know what the worst part is?
He's just there to just say yes.
Yeah. The worst part is that probably means that's how Rutherford views Boimler. He's just like a cheerleader who hangs out and doesn't contribute much.
He's commanding.
That is so sad.
He's like, that's what command officers do. They sit back and they sit in their lawn chair and they just tell you what to do.
Maybe that's it. Maybe Rutherford views Boimler as a leader, and maybe that's
what leaders do.
Yeah, maybe Rutherford's going to be Boimler's guy in the corner cheering him on.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the Rutherford mystery, though, did you notice in the medical bay when Rutherford's like coming out and he's got like the thinking cap on and it's got all the flashing lights on it? Is that supposed to be a reference to like Data with his hair off, where you can see like all the flashing lights on his head?
You know what? No, this is a pretty common skullcap trope you see in like sci-fi, where they're like studying people's
flashing
brains.
Lights.
I am betting we've seen this in Star Trek somewhere. I just didn't think enough about it to actually look it up.
Yeah, that would be my job usually, and I couldn't put my finger on it, so...
Yeah. Oh, well.
Somebody knows, let us know. Yeah.
But that scene where he wakes up is very well done.
Oh, yeah. There's more ammo in the Tenderford scene, because both Shax and Ta'ana hug, and then Tendi and
Rutherford
hug.
I think
How dare you?
Shax just puts his hand on
Ta'ana's
shoulder.
That's true.
But you know what? I like it, because they're like looking at their adopted...
That's right.
Lower Deckers and seeing them bond, and they're happy about it.
Yeah,
but that means
a cute scene.
But that means that if they get together, it's basically incest. And well, I know there's probably a whole corner of the internet that would love that. Not so much a fan over here.
Probably not. Oh dear God, I have to have some old fashioned.
We skipped all over the death of Rude Rutherford, man.
Yes, it was surprisingly tragic, to be honest.
Though, I do want to point out that when Rutherford proposes that they just like remerge their consciousnesses.
Yeah, he's like, nah, man.
He's like, nah, man, I don't want to be Tuvix.
Who would, to be
Even
honest?
both Rutherfords know Tuvix is a terrible episode.
I like Rutherford just gives up on it. He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't remerge.
I don't think he ever wanted to again. If Rutherford had been like, oh, that's a good idea, I think Rutherford would be like, no, you're right, that's dumb, and he outs, you know?
I know, but usually, I mean, in any other episode of Star Trek, they would weave that in, right? Like, oh, my memories will be part of you or whatever, even though it's never brought up ever again. But here, they're very careful to be like, nah, man, I'm good.
Yep.
You're good. Goodbye.
And then, of course, the big Rutherford reveal happens.
Yes, and this leads into the mystery and conspiracy discussion. By the way, the Wrath of Khan reference with the remember, I thought was pretty classic. What do you think is going on here? All we get is a line where it's the mysterious Starfleet officer says this is going to set us back a few years, and the fact that the implant was not an elective surgery. So what do you think is going on here?
So I think that, whoever was running that shady program was, well, or at least some high-ranking officer in it, decided to engage in a little, cover-up, and so he's like, yeah, we're going to just erase his memory, proving that he's not completely sociopathic, but still a questionable moral character. Also, Rude Rutherford was kind of a dick.
Yes,
so not
absolutely.
a big loss, I don't think.
No.
So who are your thoughts on who the admiral, or not the admiral, the lieutenant commander is?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about what we can see. The person is wearing a next-gen era uniform, and the rank, as you said, is probably lieutenant commander. Although, to be fair, McMahon likes to F with us and be like, lol, street corn, so I feel like any of these details could be changed. It could be man or woman. It sounds like a male to me, but hard to say.
Yes.
I feel like they've got to come back to it being someone that we've met before, but
yeah,
again,
and so here was my supposition. I do want to point out, though, that we mentioned this before, but the guys who are putting the implant in, they're the same surgical crews that we saw previously in TNG with the full red jumpsuits.
Yes.
But anyways, my original supposition was that this was going to turn out to be Admiral Freeman.
Oh.
But he's an admiral at the time of Lower Decks.
Right.
And only a lieutenant commander when Rutherford went through his surgery, which we're given to believe is fairly recent.
Yeah, that's right. I think, doesn't Mariner say in the pilot episode that Rutherford's only been a cyborg for like a short period of time?
Yeah, but I think that's going to wind up getting thrown out because, like, she says it's like 2 weeks. Okay. But there's no way Rutherford is a fresh-faced cadet. He was first year when the accident happened, right?
Did they say he's definitely at the academy? I don't know if it says what year. But,
they mention, Rude Rutherford that we saw previously throughout the entire episode mentions that he's a first-year cadet. So the assumption is that the accident happened around the time his memories are sequestered for.
Yeah, I don't know.
Raises some questions.
Indeed, it does. I'm looking forward to seeing that mystery unfold, though, because we got to make sure that I will say that having like completely changing the personality, even if I do like the new Rutherford personality better. I mean, immoral as hell, right? Even if that guy was kind of.
I love that the sociopath version of the character. You're like, that's a guy I can really get behind. I like where this character's going.
Yeah, we need more of that a-hole, But you know what? He's dead forever. Let's move on to the other plot in this episode, the recruitment booth plot.
Oh boy.
This is not quite as epic, but still amazing. So the planet that they go back to is Tulgana IV. So this is, if you recall, in the first season, the planet where Mariner and Boimler dropped off General Corrin, and they have all the different ethnic quarters.
And they continue that like multicultural thing at the job fair, where it's all like, you see all sorts of aliens. You see Andorians and Titans. You see whoever those dudes were from the Risa episode where Picard has his chest out the whole episode.
Yes, the Vorgons.
Yes, the Vorgons. There's things I haven't seen. There's a weird salamander alien.
There's got to be some new ones in there, too. Some original aliens.
Jeez, I could just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm going to go through and briefly mention people we do see, because there is quite a list and is kind of a gold mine of references. So, first, obviously, the Starfleet booth. We got Mariner and Boimler there. I love the animated series cutout.
Yeah, once
with the
again,
little face cutout.
Kirk and Spock are in the animated series animation style. It looks
freaking great.
like the background is from the episode Devil in the Dark.
Ah. I like the ears. The really obvious ears are obviously added to the cutout so you must be a Vulcan if you're to get a picture taken or whatever.
Yeah. But that's kind of it for their booth. It's just not that interesting.
Yeah. The other thing at their booth that the Boimler is struggling with is the Stargazer model.
I love that when Boimler slams the table, then the cells fall off.
I know. So good. I love the little inclusion of that. You're right. That's about it for the Starfleet booth. The Outpost Scientist booth, which they have the sign that says Outpost Science is real science.
Oh my god. I love how insecure that slogan is.
I know. They're very anti-Starfleet because they say Starfleet is too militaristic. I like how they talk about the outfits, like, look at my belt. Yeah. I'm like, that's not that cool. Yeah.
I love the fact that they say, we get to wear whatever we want, and they're dressed exactly the same. And to me, that's a great callback to TOS, where every outpost they went to, if it wasn't Starfleet uniforms, most of the people just wore unicolor jumpsuits. Yes, I always loved that somebody thought that was going to be the style in the future. Everybody's going to wear onesies!
That's the next gen hypothesis of civilian clothing.
Hey, you know what?
Also dictated by budget.
Nothing wrong with that.
Then, of course, we have the Truthers. They're all about conspiracies. They want to know where Sisko's at, and they think that the actual aliens from the TNG episode Conspiracy that they reference, they have a little model of that.
Is it a model, or is it a dead one, right? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, I don't know. You think if they had a real one that they would be able to prove, it wouldn't be a conspiracy anymore. Yeah. You'd have evidence.
Well, I mean, you got to prove that these things are actually intelligent and we're infiltrating Starfleet. I do love the fact, though, that when they mentioned that, Boimler's like, that didn't happen. And Mariner's like, no, I think it actually did. Implying that it's
what?
It's a known thing, right? It's not classified or anything. Right. So these truthers are just idiots who don't actually bother to read anything.
So good. The best thing about the truthers is how they think the bugs get into your system.
Oh my god, straight up the bum.
They're butt bugs. I love when Ransom comes in later, to getting ahead of ourselves here, but they're like, I think he has a butt bug.
Yeah.
That's great.
God, amazing.
Anyway, next we have the Collectors Guild.
Oh boy, yeah.
We haven't seen anyone from the Collectors Guild since that Lower Decks episode, Keishon Has Eyes Open, where they secure the derelict ship. But of course, we have the direct references to the that Next Gen episode, The Most Toys. I had to look these up. The Kivas Fajo alien, that race is called the Zabalians.
Yeah.
And then the gold ribbon alien doesn't have a name, but the Parlor Toff from that episode. Yep.
So I love the stuff on their booth. They got Codiscot from Voyager. Why is that collectible? Isn't that just a game? I mean,
maybe it was the one they had on Voyager.
Did they in Voyager? Was that some Delta Quadrant game? Did they say that? I don't remember that. I think it was just a normal game people play. That'd be showing up somebody. I
think so.
Check out my sweet collection of things. Wait, is that a yard dart set? Oh yes, the very rare yard darts. Nah, man, they made millions of those in the 80s.
Yard darts. It's basically the same thing.
Super dangerous. They have a tablet full. They've got the tablet of the Pa Wraith, which
I didn't notice that.
DS9, it had literal Pa Wraiths in it. You think somebody from Bajor or Starfleet Intelligence would be like, yeah, you guys can't have that. It's filled with literal demons.
Maybe they've already excised the Pa Wraith. Who knows?
The only other two things that really stood out to me were Khan's necklace.
I didn't see that one
either.
Which
I think we've seen previously in the Collector's ship in the previous episode.
Oh.
So I'm thinking just a whole bunch of people have made replicas, and they're all just cheap knockoffs. And then the one that's not really noticeable because it's always obscured is Spock's sweet space helmet.
Yes, I love that. I saw this space helmet. That was great. I noticed a couple other things too. They've got some data shampoos from the Duplass episode.
Oh, did they? I did not see those.
Yeah. It's a quick look, and also the Stone of Gaul, which is that crazy artifact from the Next Gen episode Gambit.
Okay, because
they find all the pieces for.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where I had seen that thing before, but couldn't place it.
Yeah, so a lot of goodies in the Collectors Guild table.
Yep, but I mean that's what they do. They just throw a bunch of Easter eggs and references, and you know what?
Yes.
It gets a little old. Come on, guys. Yes. Like, we're not here.
We don't like that
for
in this show.
Humorous Star Trek callbacks and well-written characters.
Nope.
And
not at all.
Wait, no, that is why we're here. Keep at it.
Let's move on to the Independent Archaeologist Guild's booth. We've got the archaeologist that keeps giving Mariner a hard time, Petra, Aberdeen. And the only thing I can place in that booth is the statue behind Petra's seat. That is one of the statues from the original series episode, For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. So that pops out there.
Yeah, and I think like probably the rest of her stuff is a reference to, but I just don't recognize it, and I didn't have the time.
It's tough. We're lazy here on this show.
Before we move on, there's one more thing about Petra's booth, the archaeologist booth, that I really got to bring up.
Yes.
Petra is eating noodles. I don't know if you noticed this. She's got a big old bowl of noodles. Delicious. She's eating them with a spork. Jesus, woman!
Are sporks still a thing in the future? I guess so.
I would think they would go out of style. I mean, like, but regardless, who eats noodles with a spork? That is like the least
I feel like it's just a bad time.
efficient way to eat noodles. What is going on here? Ugh.
I don't know.
That should have been
just
a huge red flag. I don't know how anybody didn't see that and be like, yeah, I'm going to walk away from this booth.
She gets a lot of attention at her booth, too, even though her entire MO is just to steal from the museum.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, let's talk about the unnamed game booth that Boimler harasses. We only see it when Boimler's off his rocker. That is run by the Wadi.
Wadi, who Boimler references it later.
Home.
Move along home.
There's a lot of fun stuff in that booth, too. They have a set of batliths and binuks out there. They got some 3D chess. They got some kind of like Ferengi ear prosthetic, like of the caliber that you would find at an amusement park.
Yeah, I was wondering what is the deal with that.
Seems a little like racist or something. I don't know.
I
have a hard time with that one.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. But it looks like they're not, trapping people in games, so that's all good.
That's true. Yeah, stop trapping people in games.
What were the artifacts they had in front of them? Were any of them that weird?
Yes.
Game trapping
the
device?
Katarian game.
Yeah.
Yes, from TNG's The Game. So they are obviously trapping people in games still.
I'm surprised they still sell those things. I would think they would be illegal.
This isn't a Federation world, right? So people can get as addicted as they want to their mobile gaming.
Could be.
Yeah.
So there's two more booths. So in the scene with the Wadi proprietors of their gaming booth, behind them there's another booth. That the proprietor is apparently a giant axolotl, which is like a the salamander thing with like the fin ears.
Right.
I swear to God I've seen this before again, but can't place it to save my life. Do you remember at all? You gotta help me out here, buddy.
No. I'm drawing a blank.
Man, I know it's from somewhere. But here's what he appears to be selling. A stack of papers. Not written on, just a stack of papers. And they're not even like well stacked. They're all like mismatched, all like out of like sync. It's weird. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I feel like someone knows what's the deal. I hope they tell me, because I'm just lost. And then, of course, there's the booth that's selling meats. It's got meats hanging on it. I don't know why.
Yeah. We do see several characters eating some kind of
rodent,
speared creature, small creature.
Yes,
so
on a spear.
I assume it's from that booth.
Rodent on a stick. I don't know though. They were selling like big, like Flintstones style meat, where it's just like a big bone with a bunch of meat stuck on it. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know. I mean, so they had one character come to the Starfleet booth, and he's eating one of these like little meat popsicles, and like only the head is missing from this creature, and it's like a bite mark there. So I don't know. I kind of don't want to think about it. That's where I'm going with that.
I guess.
Is that it for booths then?
I think that's it for booths. I mean, there's other booths, like there's the weird purple one that like no explanation is given, and you don't get a close enough look. I don't know. I know there's other booths. There's like booths that are just completely empty for some reason. Nothing really gets featured or detailed enough to really comment on it. And now the internet's going to tell us, oh yes, there's this other booth in the background of this scene, and it's a reference to
us.
TOS Episode 7. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No. Well, you know what? If that's the case, let us know. And you too can tell us how we're wrong on the internet.
75% of what I do is be wrong on the internet.
What's one more thing?
Anyways.
But anyway, other aliens walking around. You mentioned the Vorgons. Those were last seen in TNG episode Captain's Holiday. So here's the thing about the Vorgons. They appear in that episode as like visitors from the future. Are these like present day Vorgons or are like future Vorgons visiting this job fair?
Well, I mean, we got to assume that there's Vorgons around now. Like, how far in the future were they that they came back from? Did they say?
It was a significant amount of time.
But was it like, millions of years for the Vorgons to evolve on their planet?
I don't know.
I'm betting not.
I don't think that much information is given. Yeah. Either way, I was a little suspicious. I was like, are these time-traveling Vorgons? But maybe not.
But they don't do anything interesting, so meh.
No, they just walk around, yeah. Antedians, as you mentioned, the last time we've seen them is in Embarrassment of Duplers, where we're not people. That was a great joke.
Best joke of the series.
Still funny.
I don't know why I love it.
It's good. They're the Gallardonians that, of course, show up in the pilot episode.
Yeah, the little
we've seen join the Federation.
Pigs.
Yeah, the pig people that have been showing up in various places. Then the Galrakians, the crystal people that we saw in the episode Temporal Edict.
Oh, I don't even remember seeing the Galrakians.
Oh yeah, he comes up to the booth and he's like, "You guys collect some dilithium?" And Mariner tries to sell him on it, but gets sabotaged by the...
oh my god, that joke makes so much more sense now.
Now you know, because crystal people.
He's a crystal person. Whoa, wait. You skipped over the best alien of all.
Oh, do share.
The Andorian. Hello!
That's true. There are Andorians and Vulcans, I believe, too. But...
Yep, and there's the weird gray guy, and...
Yeah, there's some new aliens in there, too, that we don't have names for, so... They are wandering around.
You know what else there is? There's a Lurian. You never really get a good shot of him, but he's like...
Oh, yes! He's chasing...
He's the one that's being chased by Boimler. And I want to know, what did he say or do to make Boimler get so angry at him? Like, what did he say to question the Doctor's agency, right?
I don't know. Clearly something.
Yes. I think he was just talking to the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, it could be. He's hanging out with the conspiracy
Boimler's trying to set him straight.
I think that covers the aliens. But anyway, all of the guys in the booths basically are pooping on Mariner and Boimler for Starfleet being terrible. And, after weathering all of that, the thing that sets Boimler off is his jewelry getting stepped on.
His jewelry, it's his rank pip. It means something to him.
Yes.
And that is how Boimler cracks.
We've seen Boimler get, sad and upset, but never like completely apeshit. Like
I love even in his like apeshit state is like all he does is like break things of little value and yell at people.
Yeah.
Like even he threw some stuff, but he didn't throw it at anyone. He just threw it around.
Yeah, he's just throwing it in people's general direction. I like how at one point, Ransom shows up and Boimler like pops into the frame. And how do they show Boimler getting upset? He breaks a pencil.
I don't know why you're obsessed with the pencil breaking. It's a funny gag, but
it's ridiculous.
Not that big of a deal.
He doesn't even... Okay, so think about if you're holding a pencil and you want to break it, you got to hold it with like fully with both hands. But if you look at the shot, he's using like thumb and forefinger.
I don't know what
upset.
kind of pencils you're using, but like I can break a pencil in one hand pretty easly.
Wow.
Pretty sure I could break
That's
it
because
with
you have giant monster
hands.
hands.
My hands are perfectly normal sized, thank you, for a man
if you say
of
so.
my stature who's half gorilla.
You're just a giant. That's where I'm going with that. Anyway, we also learn during Boimler's tirade that he failed the Kobayashi Maru 17 times.
17 times. But here's my question:
Can you take it more than once?
How do you? Yeah, I mean Kirk did.
Right.
But how do you fail it 17 times? Like, what qualifies as failing? It's a test you're supposed to fail, right?
Right.
So did he just keep taking it over and over again, or was there like
I think so.
He didn't learn his lesson, or? Like, was there a point, do you think, like, after, like, 14 times where, like, one of his instructors was like, I don't think you're getting the lesson here. It's a no-win scenario.
Yeah, maybe Boimler doesn't believe in the no-win scenario, just like Kirk.
He did defeat the Borg, so, he's got that going for him.
That's right. Maybe that's just what he believes in. But yeah, I mean, of course, due to all that, he gets thrown in the brig. But, Ransom's still a fan of him. I got to say, Ransom, he's following the letter of the law. Boimler's causing a scene. He's got to you got to put him in the drunk tank, basically.
Well, it's the whole I agree with your sentiment, but not your way of voicing it situation.
Right.
And I like the fact that we're getting back to Ransom not being assassinated, or his character not being assassinated.
That's right. This episode did Ransom good.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to see that.
Backing up a little bit, the whole reason why Mariner, of course, is getting pushed around by people in the booths is they learn that she can't step out of the booth, and that is because Ransom has threatened her that, if she steps out of the booth or fails to recruit people, that he's going to send her off to the favorite place in the galaxy, Starbase 80. And surprisingly, before we get into Starbase 80, though, this is the one thing that he seems to say, and then Mariner just is immediately like, oh, okay. They got to bust that out more often.
I love the fact that at the end, Boimler's all like, are you going to send me to Starbase 80? And he's like, no, that place is horrible. God, no.
So funny.
Punishment's so terrible.
The second time this has come up.
Can't even follow through on it.
Not at all. Ransom, it's just is it kind of an empty... Do you think it's an empty threat when it comes to Mariner and her underperforming?
Nope. I think if she didn't shape up, he would ship her out.
Yeah, well, Ransom's doing the thing, what he's got to do to whip Mariner into shape.
Indeed.
And it's working.
Maybe. I don't know. I have suspicions.
Maybe so far it's working. But anyway, the episode wraps with Petra giving Mariner a call, showing off the Grand Nagus staff that she swiped from the museum, just like Mariner calls her out on when they're actually at their booths. Who do you think she's working for? Is she given the
she said
Nagus
she's
staff
giving
back,
it back
to
the Ferengi? They're going to pay a high price.
I mean, she says someone's hired her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's going back.
Yeah, good deal.
Hey, what's Tulgana IV's government doing with the Nagus staff?
I mean, who knows? Probably stole it, acquired it, bought it on the black market. Yeah. Do we know it's the government? Maybe it was just some, fly-by-night operation.
Yeah, it could be. I guess we don't know if it's the government or not.
I think we'll never know.
But I think this call that Petra gives Mariner will set up the Indiana Jones-esque episode that we saw teased in the Season 3 trailer. It's gotta be.
That's a good call. I felt like it was kind of setting up that Mariner doesn't belong in Starfleet.
Think they might go that route?
Yeah. I think that's what's going to be the end, is Boimler's going to promote, and Mariner's going to, quit to pursue other interests. Possibly as a archaeologist. Maybe a Vash-style archaeologist traveling the galaxy with Q.
I don't know. It depends on how True Blue Starfleet she ends up turning out to be.
I don't think she's going to turn out to be True Blue Starfleet. I think that's just how she was raised.
Well, anything else you want to call out about the episode before we give our final thoughts?
You know what, man? This is, I think, the first episode where I'm not like, oh, yeah, and what about this? What about that? What about the other thing? I think we covered pretty much everything I want to talk to.
Okay.
Talk about. Everything I want to talk about, not talk to.
You want to talk to this episode a little bit?
I want to talk to myself, actually. No offense, dude. You're not
got
a great conversationalist.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There's one more thing we need to mention. What did Boimler tell the Ferengi to do? They bleeped out the whole explanation, and I'm dying to know. I
don't know. I tried doing a little lip reading as much as you can do in an animated show, and it did not pan out.
You can't lip read an animated show.
I have no idea. No, not at all. I tried my best, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to leave that for people to guess.
Yeah.
So what are your final thoughts? How good was this episode?
I would rank it a apple out of Cashmere, maybe?
1 apple out of 3 oranges.
Apple out of Cashmere, maybe. I think that's going to be my rating.
Do you want to expand upon that at all?
No, I was thinking it might actually be maybe 2 oranges out of Cashmere, but I don't think it really kicks itself over into the 2 orange mark.
I can understand.
Yeah, it's probably going to turn out to be one of the better episodes of the season, I think. I did really enjoy it, but yeah, I think I'm sticking with the 1 apple out of Cashmere.
That's good. Actually, did you realize that this episode was written by Mike McMahon?
Well, I did when you told me.
That might have something to do with it being one of the stronger episodes this season. I have to agree with you there. We learned a lot about Rutherford. Just because he is my boy, I'm going to have to give this one, strong marks. It's definitely one of the stronger ones of the season.
Yeah, but I mean, this whole season has been strong. You always kind of worry as the series goes along.
Oh yeah.
Especially, there's always that risk of, like, comedies especially start to take themselves too seriously and start to get way too arc-driven. And I think they're still maintaining a pretty good balance.
It's weird, when you see people talk about this show on, social media or whatever, a lot of people take things very seriously, especially relationships between characters, or a lot of people want to see T'Lyn come back. They're very serious about that.
I do hope we get a Wage Douche follow-up at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I would love them all to show
I
back
think there
up.
will be one. Yeah, there's definitely going to be one, but I mean, you can't have the whole show just being like, "Hey, remember this one joke we did once? Like, we're going to keep bringing it back."
Yeah,
you gotta keep it fresh. Gotta keep it good.
Keep doing new things. It's Star Trek to boldly
That's right.
go, not boldly
Totally
do the
agree.
thing over and over again, despite what TNG season 1 wanted us to believe.
Oof.
I guess I could have gone the Enterprise route, but you know what? That's just a low-hanging fruit.
It's too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah. Well, my drink is running on empty. How about you?
Well, I think this whole thing is getting a little old.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know what? We're going to do this all again next week. Only next time, we'll be talking about episode 6 of season 3. Bet you didn't see that coming. So till then,
Oh boy.
catch us on Twitter at Lower Dorks, or head on down to the job fair. Or don't. It's kind of lame. And honestly, there's some weird, short, hairy dude down there just going ape on everything.
Breaking pencils left and right.